Hey party people, this is Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games, and today I'm here with another Kickstarter preview of Winterborne by Talent Strike Studios. This is a 2 to 4 player deck building, tableau building game. It's got a lot of interesting twists to it and a lot of variability. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be trading, you're going to be exploring, you're going to be conquering and establishing your settlements, and it's got some very interesting scoring mechanics that go on and variability galore. We're going to be taking a look at a lot of that going on in this game. It's going to have a longer setup, so I'll show you all the things that are going on in the setup and the possible variability going on there. And then we'll show you some of the gameplay, and that's why this preview is a little bit longer. You're going to see more of a kind of run through of how things work. And hopefully you get an idea and make an informed backing decision. I'm going to leave some things down there below, so pay attention to the notes and where you can skip around to see more of the gameplay stuff. And with that, part of people, I'm not going to keep you too long for this this intro. Let's go ahead and get to it. I'm really excited about this one. You are looking at part of the setup for Winterborne here, and I want to do this just because I think it'll give you a good thorough idea of how this game sets up and what does it have to offer as far as variability, because that's big in this game. What you're looking at is actually the main board area. It's going to look similar to your player area, which I'm not showing you right now, but it's going to have the same look to it outside of these provinces right here and these gray areas. It kind of simulates this right here, so you're going to see that right there. That's basically what it is. Of course, there's no center. This has the resources, which are military, gold, and food. And then you also have these favor tokens, which we'll touch on multiple times during this this instruction here. But this area, each area is made up of different cards, types of cards. You have these trade ally cards, and these ally cards are different for each area. They're going to give you different conditions that you will trade in with your shaman, and then you will receive that benefit. But then later in the game, you will also receive victory points according to certain things, and they are so different for each location. No two locations are the same, and they score completely different. And it's important to have such a diverse repertoire or collection of these so that you can score multiple ways. Like this one right here just says, hey, you get 1 point for every 2 settlements. This one right here, I mean, just having multiple cards in your hand for every 3 cards, because this is a set collection-ish the tableau building, so you want to have a diverse set here. You also have these spoil tiles. If you see these 3 tiles down here at each area, those are going to be when you go and you conquer a certain place. This purple area, let's say you conquer it, you will receive a province tile. It will be added to your player board, and we'll touch on that later. But you also receive a spoil tile, and these can be used to pick up actions. They actually have additional province resources, and then they even have special characters. These will all be brought up again as well. But the decks, and this is what the decks are made of, is these exploration cards. And there are different types. I have a weapon card. I have a treasure card down here. I have a treasure card down here. I have a wilds card, and these are very specific cards. There's only a certain amount in the deck depending on player count. Then they also have these banners. Now banners have 3 cards in a set, and you put a certain amount of sets in based on the player count as well. And that's kind of one of the setups that you have. The weapons, treasures, and provisions, there's 6 of them each, so you're going to have an initial 18 cards. But then you're going to shuffle in these sets, and each set has a different theme to it that says, hey, this set right here basically pays you victory points for not spending certain things. Okay, so for not spending resources. There's one that pays you, let's see, I got another set. As you can see, I just swapped one out. This is for having certain cards in your hand, so how many treasure cards I have, how many weapons I have, how many provisions I have in my deck. But these cards are actually playing cards as well. They're going to have actions on them, and we'll talk about how those play. But all these cards that you see here that we just kind of showed you, they are all going to go in this big deck over here, and I'm going to shuffle it, and I'm going to make a certain amount of cards for each one of these areas, but they're all in here, okay? And what happens is as players explore, they're going to take cards and put them in their decks in their hands, and what will happen is as their turn is over, they will replace those cards in there. So there's no rounds, they just kind of go out. And when the players explore, they're going to have to pay a cost. And it changes as the seasons change. So in the beginning, it costs you 2 just any resources, and that can be anywhere from the middle of the board. And then what happens is those cards come replaced, the season moves on, that happens again, we keep going, and then as we get to the fall, cards will continue to come out, but they will be handed from this deck right here if they run out of this deck. but then we start counting rounds. And it's a little different when you get to the winter time. So let me go ahead and pull in just a little bit closer so you see the winter. So as we get to the autumn, we move over to the winter time, and now we're actually counting rounds. So we're saying, hey, you know, if it's 3 players, you know, we'll keep going, and then when the last person goes, that'll be an actual round now. And then we'll move on to 2, and then we'll do that for 3, and then we'll do final scoring. And that's the flow of the game, but there are no rounds. It's just, hey, you know, we're gonna play through these cards and explore and explore and explore, and then when we get here, it's like it's game on. There's a, you know, get your last actions in, and there's actually powers that trigger that you use these tokens for, but we will show you that later on. But for right now, that is the main board. You're gonna have a lot of things that you're pulling off of here, but most of the action is going to go on your player board, which is right here. I'm actually on top of it right now. So let's go ahead and get to the player board and then start showing these actions, start showing you how to collect all these sets, and you know, and just use your player powers and stuff like that to the max. All right, let's do it. We're just going to try to get into the gameplay so you have an idea of how to just play this game. I want you to see it moving. You have your house board, which is going to show you a player aid for how all things interact, how your special characters are. You're going to have a warrior, a shaman, and an explorer, and they all have different functions. Of course, the warrior is going to conquer and build buildings, and these are your buildings. You got settlements and you got churches, and they have their different benefits, but generally you're trying to create these provinces that are already fulfilled here by conquering, and then adding them to these areas and starting to put settlements on them to help score more points. Then you have your traders, and the traders are going to go about and get those ally cards that I was talking about that give you additional scoring in the setup. They're also going to be able to gather military resources, things like that. And they're also going to be able to gather these favor tokens, which interact with the Winterborne powers at the bottom, and I'll talk about that when I get there. And then we have the Explorer, and the Explorer is actually how you get all these wonderful cards that are up here, these big, bad, wonderful cards, and you will get those and add them to your hand to start playing better cards with more powers and actions to that are going to be available to you, or abilities, I should say. And they also can gain you resources, but they only gain you food by raiding. Okay, so you all have these different types of things they can do that contribute to your area. On the left, you have a reserve area. That's where your wilds cards will go automatically, and then that's where other resource cards, such as a treasure with this scroll, will go, and there's only room for 3 of them. Wilds cards take up a full slot in that area, so you can only have, let's say, 1 more right now. But this card can actually be played, and this is like a deck builder. You play the card for whatever action it's going to be played for, but these just don't go anywhere, just so you know. And now we have our deck of cards. All right, actually, I should say this. The Winterborne powers, now we're not going to get to this, but these are actually, you're going to have a choice of 2 at the end of the game, and at the end of the game, at the beginning of the game, and you get to choose 1. They are actually used when you get to this point in the game when you start counting rounds at the end. And when you do that, you would actually start spending these tokens that you're gathering during the game to activate them, and then you would put 1 on there and activate the power. And they're really ridiculously overpowered because they should be, and it makes it easier for at the end of the game when you're really frantic and trying to build up some stuff. You can do cool things like move your provinces around. You can draw more cards. You can pay less resources for exploration. You can just gather a certain amount of resources. There's a whole bunch of different ones. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stretch goalie ones in this one too, but yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in that. Okay, so you have your 6 cards to start out with. Those 6 cards are going to represent, they're going to have 2 for each of your character types. So you can see I got the warrior, I got 2 of the explorer, I got 2 of the shamans in there. But the second line of them is going to be your movement amount. And then the third line is going to be your resources, or they're going to be wilds activations. So you would have to play a card with a wild on it, play it and say, hey, I'm playing it for the wilds action, and then you would do what it says. Like I would have to have food, and I would get 2 military. Or I would play, let's say I would play this for a coin, and I would go get a coin from the supply over there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to give myself some supplies so we can just show you how this game plays, huh? All right, you want to be some cheaters? I usually only get 1 coin, but I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go ahead and give myself some coins, and we're going to play this out. So I'm going to shuffle the cards, and I'm not going to shuffle them well. I'm just going to shuffle them, and I get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you basically play your cards. You can keep a card in your hand. You can
discard down and discard and then go back up to 4 at the end of your turn. But you're going to have 4 cards. Look at that. And I got some diversity. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the warrior. So I can only choose one of these 3 things on the card, and I want to move my warrior, so I got to play my warrior. And in order to use and activate my warrior, I actually have to move them first. So I got to move them. I have an option of 1 or 2. I really want to use that shaman next. I mean that warrior, that explorer next. So I'm going to move my warrior 2. He's going to move 1, 2 like that. And I'm going to move him up, and I want to conquer. I could build a settlement, and that would mean just building a settlement adjacent to where I'm at. I could do that, but I'm going to conquer instead. I want to show you how that starts, how you start your little engine going here in the game. So when I conquer, I'm going to go to the blue where I'm interacting at. That's where I'm at right now. And I'm going to move it over. So I'm going to get one of these province tiles. Okay, and the province tile can go, it's not going to go in the middle, it's going to go on one of these 2 spots. It can be this one, and I'm going to probably put it there, or this one. And it just says it because there's a blue border right here. It could be blue or black. If I was over here, it could be black. But I'm going to put that blue there. And eventually I'm going to try to start doing things like this. So I also get a spoil. And I have 3 tokens here. I'm going to take these 3 tokens and take a look at one of them. This is a movement spoil token. This is a province spoil token. And this one right here is a special character, the Explorer. I could take one of these, and I will take one of these, and I will use it. I can use it for a resource, like I can use this for 2 movement, or I could use this one in place of a card like this one for Explorer. So instead of having an Explorer card, I can just use this and flip it over and use it. It's gone for the game. Or I can use these to help me with scoring of my province scoring at the end of the game. Because I want as many of these province tiles as possible times the amount of settlements I have on the matching province. So this is kind of important, and that's why I'm going to take this one. All right, because I just laid a tile, I just took a tile of that type right there, so why not take it? And the reason why I'm saying that is, let's say I started to add these settlements. Okay, when I start to add those settlements along in the game, now I have 1, 2, 3 blue provinces times 2, which is 6. So you want to start adding these together as much as possible. But I'm not going to be a cheater pumpkin eater. I'm just going to do that. Okay, guys? I'm not going to cheat. Just want to let you know. But that's what that does there. I'm going to do this too. I'm going to explore. So I'm going to go ahead and play my Explorer. And I'm going to move my Explorer 2. So let's go ahead and move my Explorer 2. It's going to be 1, 2. And to explore, I'm at the yellow spot. To explore this round in the summertime, in the springtime, I have to pay 2 resources, any 2 resources. So I'm going to pay 1 gold and 1 food. All right, and I am in the yellow area. So the yellow area has this card right here in the exploration area. And this card is a banner. And banners, remember, are shuffled in there. There's different sets that you can shuffle in there. And that banner, this will become part of my hand. And it can be played as a card in the future. But the most important part is now at the end of the game, I get points according to these provinces here, like the provinces that I have in this area right here. So I really want to pay attention to this little run right here, all the way up to the purple. Is that all the way up to the purple? Let me see. Yeah, all the way up to the purple. So I want to pay attention to that kind of stuff. Now that card is in my hand, and unless it's a wild, it would go into my hand. But I don't need it right now, but I'm going to keep it, okay? And that's what explorers do. Otherwise, I would just take an action where I could just raid and gain food. You have a couple choices with each character, but you know, you got to kind of pick your poison. And then when I shuffle the cards, I only had enough cards to do that. And let's see if I can get one of these shamans in here. Let's see. I did not get a shaman, but now I do have that banner in here. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, sorry. And then once the round is over, I start to replace these cards, and that's how the timer for the game goes. As you can see, there's no real round, so if my other players went, they wouldn't go. It's just that as these cards go away, these start to go out, and then the season moves forward like that, okay? The rounds start once we get down to the other end there. Okay. All right, we got 4 cards, don't we? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fly through this. Watch me fly. I'm going to go ahead and move my warrior. Sorry, my warrior. I'm going to move them 1. Move my warrior 1. I'm going to pay yet again to conquer. Actually, no, I'm going to build a settlement this time. So food and gold. And I'm going to build a settlement here. I'm going to build it right back to its adjacent area right here. Actually, I'm going to just do it right here to adjacent area because this has to be where I'm at. And then I'm going to gain a favor token. And those are going to be saved up. They're worth a point at the end of the game, but they're also used to pay for these two. And that is going to be my turn for that. Then I'm going to move my explorer. Actually, I need food. I'll tell you what, I'm going to play both of these for a food and for military. And there you go, food and military. Boom, military, boom. And I'm going to take these 3 cards, shuffle these. As you can see, it goes real quick. Turns go really quick in this game, but you got to pay attention to what you're doing. I don't know why I just shuffled those, but whatever. I think I just shuffled cards that I didn't need to shuffle. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and take some steps with these because you need to know exactly what's going on with these. So we've talked about the warrior. We talked about the explorers. Now we're going to talk about the shaman. So here we go. We're going to do a shaman movement. And the shaman is going to move, let's see. Shaman's going to move, let's see, 2. They're going to move, yeah, 2. So they're going to move 1, 2. And now we're going to look at where the shaman's at. Okay, the shaman's at purple. Okay, and now we're going to take these trade cards. And before I was telling you in the setup, what you do with these trade cards, you basically turn them in. You turn in a resource and you gain this instead. So like I turn in a gold, I get a food. Okay, not the best trade-off on the planet, but for every two settlements I have at the end of the game, so for every 2 of these that are on the board at the end of the game, I get an extra point. And that's, I mean, I want that stuff. And it's mine. Whether it goes well or not, I know I have those. And I kind of want to have a diverse bank of those because they're going to give me different ways to score. I just happen to have one sitting over here. So like for this one right here, I get a point for every wilds card I have. That's only going to be about 3 points, right? But it's points, you know, like it's the thing. Or if I just get this right here and I start to bail out, and I'm bailing out on this plan right here that I had, I can turn in this tile right here, get 2 coins, and then I just get 2 points at the end of the game. So there's a lot of little options that you have with that one right there. Let's see what else I got in my hand though. Let's see here. And it's going to be, we're going to go here. I'm sorry. We're going to go with the Explorer, and we're going to go 1. Okay, so the Explorer is going to go 1 like that. And then at the bottom, they're going to explore. They have to pay. Ooh, I can't pay. I can't pay. Well, that means I have to take some food. So I have to take some food. That's all I can do with that one right there. But that's the general gist of it. The one thing I did not touch on are some of the resources that they can gain and things like that. I want to make sure you understand a couple small things. The cool thing about this shaman is that it starts to interact with your provinces and things as you get them out. So one thing you need to know is that once you start to get these buildings out and settlements out, when you build a third one, you can start adding these churches, and the churches gain you an exploration card. You start triggering these things and get multiple ones. But when your shaman starts to move around these places and they move over, they kind of jump over one of these settlements, they get a coin for interacting with your settlements. So you can start triggering where you have things on the outside here and you're just jumping and gaining these coins. It helps you build resources. It helps you to start being better at trading with other places. But that's just one of those really cool things. I just wanted to show you that. I think I've showed you a little bit of everything. Hopefully you got an idea how the game works. Let's go ahead and get to my final thoughts. Just remember that you're trying to collect as many sets as possible. You're scoring provinces. You're trying to get a diverse set of cards because this is for set collection. You're going to score points for that. You're going to score points for your resources. You're going to score points for having these different types of trade cards in your hand. You can have multiple ones of those. There's so many different things in here. The banners cards specifically, and those change according to which ones you shuffle in there. There's so many different ways to win at this game. I think I've said enough. Let's go ahead and get to the final thoughts.
Final thoughts here, and I think the name of the game is variability. You're going to you have a fresh take on this game pretty much every time, as long as you're shuffling in different banner sets and just playing it out different. It actually allows for that because you don't know what cards are going to come out when, and just by the setup right there alone, you want to get to them. And then when you finally get to a point where you feel like you're kind of behind, well, guess what? You got your Winterborne powers, and you can use those at the end of the game to kind of like get things done, and it feels like a good ramp up in the game. I like that part right there. And some of the banner sets are like easier to use, and the other ones are a little bit more advanced, so you can kind of pay attention to that. There's also the ally cards. I like that a lot. I like the fact that you can kind of spread out your scoring, not just by set collecting at the end of the game, but you have the ally cards that help you score. You can just gather favor tokens. That could be a strategy. But it really comes down to how you use your hand and using those cool powers as you pick up expiration cards. And those cards are juicy. So you have a lot of skin in the game of how you can spread yourself out and score. And that's the thing. The combos of scoring is a very pleasing experience for me. And that's just a sign of smart design. I think Brian Shure is going to be a hit maker moving forward. I'm really paying attention to his designs. I know there's some coming up here later on in the year too. So I'm really excited about what he's bringing to board games. Started with Colorado Crown, and now I'm looking at this one pretty seriously. But I can never tell anybody what to do with their money. I just hope today I helped you make an informed decision. So I like to thank Talon Strikes for allowing us to do this preview. And I also want to thank you for sticking around and taking a look at this very long and detailed preview. Hopefully it was detailed. And please feel free to like, subscribe. You can also leave comments below. I'll try to answer the questions best as possible. Always open to feedback as well. Thank you for your time, party people. You have a wonderful day. Hope to see you again.